Hello, guys. All right. So here's the thing. You've heard a lot of my stories. You have seen all the art of the Lord's, and you heard that I met the Lord when I was a kid. The whole town heard it, but how do I know what his wife looks like, right? I make art of his wife. I make art of his father, L. Okay, I have memories, dreams, and visions, images, videos of my past life in my head and my sight and stuff, my vision. Okay, so the thing is, I posted just recently a story, a fact, a short explanation that the story of the Pied Piper, right, is actually an old story about me throughout history a long time ago. See, I've told you I'm a tiefling, right? That means I grow wings and a tail, half demon, half angel, okay? In a past life, they ripped out my wings. They haven't grown back yet. But in America, when I was born, I grew a 7-inch long tail, and it got that long until they cut it off. It would have got longer and bigger. I still have the scar on my butt crack. All right, but somebody asked me to tell more about the story of the Pied Piper and how it's true that I was the Pied Piper a long time ago. I led around a group of rats by singing to them. All right. Okay, I was living with the Lord out in a distant land of Earth, which is called Mars. It's actually just another distant land on the same flat planet. This is not a round planet. Okay, it's just off the map. The map is kind of restricted. All right, they make it seem like it's a ball. It's actually a giant flat square, and you don't fly out to Mars because the government here and such don't let you. Okay, but Mars is just a distant land on the same Earth, and that's where the Lord lives and reigns. All right. Now, what happened is I was married to the Lord's daughter, my younger sister. Okay, she cheated on me after there was about 100 family members. Okay, one of them slept with her. Okay, I left angry and sad, and I ended up dying. Okay, fainting, dying. I don't know what happened much when I was dead or sleeping, but I was reborn later. Okay, next thing that happened to me after I woke up is I was a baby again. And let's just say I was unique. You know, sometimes I had a bigger upper head, and sometimes I had wings and a tail, and people thought I was different because I wasn't human. I'm a tiefling. You know, I'm half the Lord's son, half his wife's son. And El is my grandfather. El is the prime creator. El is the father of the Lord. I've shown you the art of it, and you can find it on our DeviantArt. DeviantArt.com/WLTOP. Go to the galleries. All right. So the thing is I was living in a village, all right, a lonely little village. And animals were friendly to us, all of them, the wild ones and everything. We didn't hunt them so much, right? We milked cows and stuff, and we ate cheese, all right, and bread. We farmed, we gardened, we didn't hurt animals. A wild mouse came up to me, right, and I gave it cheese, okay? And I gave it some bread, and it kept coming back each day and trusting me more and more, and I kept doing that until a big group came, a family. I talked to them, and I kept feeding them, okay, until there was a ton. Okay, the people kicked me out of the village, or I left willingly, whatever we'd call it, and they followed me, these mice. And I walked to another town, all right, and it got into the habit that I'd walk to towns and be kicked out of them, okay, but I'd stay friends with the mice. I'd talk with them, and they would talk back to me in English, all right? These mice would talk to me in English. And I'd find them food, and they'd bring me food. They'd pilfer it. They'd basically steal it or beg for it or whatever you call it. And they'd give me food when I needed it. And when I could find food, I'd share it with them. We were family. And at one point, I had a flute. Okay? I had a flute. I think if I remember correctly, I got it as a birthday gift from my mother at the time, when I was still living before I had met the mouse. And I brought it with me. And we had an argument, me and these mice, about how difficult it was to stay together. Not a mean argument, but, you know, like, what if we lose each other? So I said I'd start playing the flute to draw them to where I was. And it got to the point that I could talk to them by the song. I still have it, right? Here's the thing. This is how it sounded. And that is the historical story of what it sounded like, right? That's how it sounded. Now, some people have heard about a boat. I got chased out of the villages after going to about 10 of them, right? After traveling around until I couldn't find anywhere else to travel to and I got kicked out and everybody got mad, I got on a boat to run away. All right? And you've probably heard the rest of the story. Anyways, I got into a lot of trouble. I crashed and drowned. I don't know what happened after that because I don't have any memory after I drowned. And I'm back alive, but I fell in the water, got rolled around, okay? And that was a long time ago, but after that, I just woke up and it was another life. Now, that might sound hard to believe. How could that be true? Well, for the people who saw my tail when I was a little boy, it is a rat's tail, okay? That's one of the reasons that I made friends with these rats. Which means, in the past, all right, these little guys that I had never met before would have been some of my actual descendants. They would have been younger than me. Okay? Now what happens is a tiefling marries somebody and has kids with them. Okay? And at some point what happened is, whether I lost memory of it or not, I had some descendants that ended up being those rats. Alright? How? I don't know. I'm promiscuous as hell, but they showed up, and guess what? Looking at them, they have my tail. Okay, that's my tail. If you look at my tail, it's just like a rat's tail. And here's the weird thing about it. Okay, I'm older than them. I'm the Lord's firstborn son. So whether they inherited it from me directly or from a nephew, I don't know. All right. All I can know is after I left Mars and woke up later on, I met them, and I had never seen such a strange creature. And I became friends with them, and they were just like me, and they liked my tail. Now you get it. There's a lot of plot holes in this because I don't know everything. I learn as I go, all right? Because I'm not everywhere. I'm not omnipresent. I travel around on two legs, so after I left Mars, I found descendants years and years and years later in a village more than 1,000 years ago, more than 2,000 years ago, right? This is an old story. And whether you want to choose to believe it or not is fine with me. But I have Art of the Lord's bones, right? I'm very old. I'm the Lord's firstborn son. All right? And there's millions of family members, and I'm a very old one that's been promiscuous. All right? Now, here's the thing. Tieflings, all right, they can have married a human wife, all right? And then they can give birth to tieflings with a human. If a tiefling breeds with like a dog, for example, gives birth to a half dog, half tiefling. That's because tieflings are not humans. They're half demons and half angels, right? Wings and tails. They look human, but they're magical, and they normally have wings and tails. Wings like angels, tails like demons. Doctors cut off my tail. I can't show it to you. But it was 7 inches long. It looked like a rat's tail. Okay. My wings, very big, very strong, but they got ripped off after I did something that you would find hard to believe. Here's another story, right? A long time ago, before you guys were thought of and created, before I finished begging the Lord to make you, okay? There wasn't a lot of darkness, all right? It was just everything was clear, but the sky was blackish. Just clear black, okay? The Lord taught me how to make a giant black ball of magic that spins and continuously forever spins. Okay? We made it out of a magical piece of the air. Okay? Black space. We took a portion of the sky and turned it into a ball. Okay? I flew up into the sky. I placed it in place where it didn't move, and then the Lord, flying with me, stuck his hand through it. And when he pulled it out, light shone off of it. and then he spun it with one hand, and then he pushed on it, and it revolves around this planet today. It's called the sun. I have the diagram on our DeviantArt. Go check it out. Pretty flippin' hard to believe, huh? But that's why the Lord showed up in California when I was a little boy. Because I am, in fact, his firstborn son. And like I said, the story of the Pied Piper was a story about me. I was getting into mischief with some family members. And that's what the flute sounded like. And since you probably will have difficulty believing all this, ask the Lord, Baal. That's his Israelite name. Okay? It's his Jewish name, Baal. Ask him about it later when he shows up. He shows up at California each year. He showed up at California to my house instead of at Bohemian Grove because I'm his son, his direct son, and he saved my life and kind of saved my life. I kind of helped, and I went out there to meet him and pray to him. Then there's a story how I revived a mummy. You've heard of how Jesus revived Lazarus. Well, I also later revived a mummy in California. I'm not going to tell that story right now. I got a sandwich to eat, but you've probably heard it in some of the stories on Facebook that I've left. And that thing's still running around. The government told me they caught the mummy. I don't believe it. Let's just say I ways of canoeing. That mummy is still running around, man. I'll give you one hint. A few years later, about 8 years later, 10 years later, after I revived the mummy, I was walking down the road towards the school that I went to a long time ago, and a bunny ran up to me, right? And this bunny looked at me, and it bared some vampire teeth. I mean, its two front teeth were sharp points, all right? And I was like, oh, F, dude. Look at that bunny. That's a vampire buddy. And it looked at me and it got freaked out and it ran off. I said, oh, it must have met my mummy. That was years ago. Anyways, cool, huh? Anyways, I've got a picture on the DeviantArt of me making the sun when I had my bigger upper skull like the Lord's and the wings and ears, the sharp pointy elf ears, the tail, all that. It's on the DeviantArt under the kaleidoscope folder, and so is the diagram of the black ball with the white light on it. Go check it out. Ooh.